Talks to bring about a possible ceasefire deal in Ukraine are dominating a two-day meeting of NATO foreign ministers in Turkiye. But there is some confusion around when or if direct talks will take place between Ukrainian and Russian delegations. Despite this, NATO chief Mark Rutte says he's hopeful that a breakthrough can be achieved.
That can only happen if the Russians show up with a relevant delegation, so we have to see what happens over the next coming days. I'm still cautiously optimistic that if also the Russians are willing to play ball, and not only the Ukrainians are doing this, they're doing it, but also the Russians, that you could get to some breakthroughs over the next couple of weeks. I'm still cautiously optimistic.
Well, other NATO foreign ministers have expressed their disappointment that President Vladimir Putin isn't part of the Russian delegation that's arrived in Turkiye.
We have one chair empty, which is the chair of Vladimir Putin. So now I guess the entire world has realized that there's only one party not willing to engage in serious peace negotiations, and that certainly is Russia. Ukraine has declared time and again its willingness for a 30-day ceasefire, obviously ending the war, which it didn't start in the first place.
Let's go live to Dmitry Medvedenko. He's standing by in Istanbul for us. Dmitry, it's an informal meeting where the issues they'll be discussing are very serious. What's on the agenda for NATO foreign ministers?
Well, indeed, Turkey is a diplomatic center today. There's events happening in Antalya, as you mentioned, where there's the NATO informal foreign ministers meeting. There's a meeting between Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan in Ankara. And there's a potential meeting, we still don't know if it's going to happen or not, between a direct negotiating meeting between Ukrainian and Russian delegations. Now, when it comes to Antalya, what's been coming out of it is, of course, words of encouragement promoting direct dialogue between Russia and Ukraine. But what's on the agenda is potentially setting up a proper NATO summit next month in The Hague, and the extent of NATO aid to Ukraine. A lot, of course, depends on what comes out of this week of diplomatic talks in Turkiye. Now, the Secretary of State, Mark Rubio, U.S. Secretary of State, is in Antalya. He has also said that he believes in a diplomatic solution.
We are open to being constructive and helpful in any way we can to end a conflict. I will say this, and I'll repeat it, that there is no military solution to the Russia-Ukraine conflict. This war is going to end not through a military solution, but through a diplomatic one.
And meanwhile, President Erdogan will be meeting President Zelenskyy in a few hours, Dmitry. Tell us what more we know about that.
Indeed, they will be meeting in the next coming hours. There has been already a comment made by the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy saying that he will approve or not approve a meeting between Russian and Ukrainian delegations here in Istanbul, depending on the results of his conversations with Erdogan. So what has happened is that Russian President Vladimir Putin initiated this meeting. He said, Turkey, Istanbul, May 15th, let's have a meeting. But he didn't specifically mention that he was going to come, and everyone was speculating whether that was going to happen or not. And Ukraine jumped onto this bandwagon and immediately said that Volodymyr Zelenskyy is ready for a one-on-one meeting with Vladimir Putin. But Russia signed off on the delegation. It was actually Putin who signed off on the delegation. It is going to be headed by Vladimir Medvedenko. He's a presidential aide, and it will include several deputy ministers, not even Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister, not himself, Vladimir Putin. And this is disappointing for the Ukrainian delegation. But Moscow insists that this is a continuation of talks from 2022, when Vladimir Medvedenko also headed the delegation. And the goal of today's potential meeting, again, we still don't know if it's going to happen, is to discuss the main reasons for the conflict in Ukraine, rather than mentioning achieving a ceasefire.
All right, Dmitry Medvedenko, live in Istanbul. Thank you, Dmitry.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.